don't think anyone would want to acquire a company that's not worth anything.
But I mean, we look for attributes, right? So people that are well-read, people that are interested and that are passionate about what they do. The more you know about the subject matter, there will be probing questions. If you don't know the subject matter, you'll be caught out in the probing questions. Yeah, reading up a lot is very important. Just knowing the spaces that you want to operate in.
Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I come with guests again, and I hope this video today will be very, very helpful because we're going to do things very differently today. We're doing a mock interview with the lovely Keke, which most of you might know or have come across on the streets. In law firms, I hope. I'm Atlachang for those who don't know me, and I'll give an opportunity for my guests to introduce themselves. But before I do that, I want to just announce that we're having our mentorship seminar on the 10th of October, Friday at CDH at 4 p.m. We're so excited. If you haven't registered, sorry, you can't come, but please do look out for the one we'll have next year because we're planning on having an annual event. And yeah, I mean, we're trying to broaden what we offer to students and legal practitioners as a whole. I don't want to talk too much. Right. Let me give my guests an opportunity to introduce themselves. I am going to start with you, kind sir.
Thank you, Atlahang. Hello, everyone. My name is Ntloso Maluana. I am a third-year law student from UNISA. I'm also a social media content creator, Tyler_Siesta. Thank you.
Yes.
Hi everyone, my name is Noxolo Mkhize. I am an LLB graduate and a master's student. And.
Welcome back, Knox. Welcome back.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kekileto Sebageng, and I am a graduate recruitment manager. And I'm not a social media content. I just get invited to this.
For good reason.
For good reasons.
For good reasons, yes. So we're going to get straight into it. So this is what's going to happen. No, also, right?
Yes.
And Knox are going to be our interviewees. Keke is going to be the interviewer. And we're basically going to play out a scenario that's similar to one that you would experience if you were interviewing for either VAC work or candidate legal practitioner positions. So myself and who's starting? Knox. Yeah. And Ndlosa are going to leave the screen. And we're going to ask Keke to give feedback at the end of the session so that you get tips on how to best prepare for hopefully your next or first job.
So we'll start off by setting the mood. So you're just going to go straight into play. So let's say you just applied at Gege Attorneys for either this interview is applicable for either vacation or for articles, right? So yeah, so you walk in the room and you find me in the boardroom and you find me sitting there and you are lucky, you're fortunate enough, it's not a panel interview. So it's just me as for the pre-screening interview, for instance. All right, so I'll set the tone normally in a meeting. So the tone would be, hi, Knox. My name is Kekileto Sebageng and I am a graduate recruitment manager here at Gege Attorneys. And yeah, so maybe perhaps introduce yourself just to, get to know you and understand where you're from and so forth. So yeah, please tell me about yourself.
Hi Keke, nice to meet you in person. My name is Noxolo Mkhize. I graduated from the University of the Free State with an LLB with distinction. And I am currently doing my master's in mercantile law, specializing in tax law. And I am currently also working at a big law firm.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in KZN, and yeah, I just took my things and went to the Free State to pursue my dream of becoming a lawyer.
Okay. Do you mind just elaborating why you decided to choose law? I mean, there's so many fields that you could have went into. Why particularly law?
I was born a lawyer, if I could say so myself. But I was particularly drawn to law because, well, my love for law started when I would see a cousin of mine who studied law, I'd always just be intrigued by how she would dress, and I was still young at that time, so I didn't necessarily understand what everything was about. But once I got to understand, seeing her scripts as well, that's when I really had like a very big interest into pursuing law. And once I got into the law, then that's when I really confirmed that I really do love the law and I enjoy the law, and I wanted to pursue it further and end up becoming an attorney.
Okay. And what would you say particularly, like if you look at, I mean, the law is very vast, right? And
Yes.
multifaceted. So what would you say about the law? Like which areas or, since you've done your research before applying to UFS, I'd assume that you would have done your research. What particularly evoked your interest in that?
In law,
Yeah, like particularly I mean, there's areas of law, right? So
Yes.
you could say there is labor law. You could say there's competition.
yes.
What particularly drawn you to law? Right?
Yes. So, when you first apply for law, you obviously don't understand the many things that are offered in the program, in the LLB program. So you find your criminal modules, and then you find your mercantile modules, which is your commercial modules. And then I think that's where you kind of like find yourself in terms of where would you want to land. So for me, in as much as I did enjoy some of my criminal law modules, I found myself being drawn so much into commercial law modules. And this is also the reason why I decided to do my master's in commercial law, because that is where I was interested in. I enjoyed your banking law, and that is particularly what I enjoyed the most, and I would be very happy if I would get to do that in practice. So yes, the commercial modules, banking law. I did also enjoy insolvency law, but I wasn't really great at it. I just enjoyed knowing when sequestration happened and all of those things. So yeah.
Okay, and then what about KK attorneys would you say drawn you to, I guess, apply here? Because I mean, there's so many law firms
Yes.
out there, small, medium, large. So what about this firm that made you to actually apply here?
I think it has to be the caliber of attorneys that KK attorneys produces. From when you take people as candidate attorneys into them becoming attorneys, they don't just become attorneys just like any other attorney, but they have an impact. We also see some of the attorneys from your firm on social media speaking also good about the firm and the culture of the firm. And I think that is where, as a law student, I would want to end up in. And also the experience that they get from the firm. They don't just, as candidate attorneys, they come prepared when they become attorneys. They know this is what an attorney should do. They get extensive training during their candidate attorney program. And I think that is what I also would love to get out of the training program, knowing that I got everything that I could have gotten.
Okay. And then does our practice groups that we have here align with the areas of practice that you want to potentially, I guess, find your niche here?
Yes. I know that KK Attorneys is very big on banking law. And as I already mentioned, that banking law was one of my favorite modules. And I think that is the area that I would love to practice in. And I also know that you touch in a bit of insurance law, which I also did when I was doing my financial planning law. We had a section where we did insurance law. So I think I would learn more in terms of insurance law, because, when you're in school, you just learn a bit and pieces. So I'd love to get, the practical side of it. So I really do think it aligns with what I would like to do.
So picking your brain or sticking to that theme, have you read the recent deal that we actually did with Dlamini Spaza and, Thabo Spaza? Have you read up on the deal recently? It's actually in the practice that you actually like.
Yes, I did read up on that, and I think you guys did an amazing job. I think obviously Dlamini Spaza shop wouldn't have just, gotten any law firm seeing that they are such a big company. So seeing that they went to KK Attorneys and not any other law firm speaks loud, and it speaks a lot about the services that you guys offer. And yeah, I think also in future, I'd also love to be part of, those big transactions that you guys are involved in.
Okay. So there is, obviously, we have M&A, which is mergers and acquisition.
Yes.
What would you say is the most important thing? I would assume you've covered in some shape or form in your modules around mergers of companies, I would assume. What is the most important thing when a merger takes place from company A and B?
I haven't done so much of mergers and acquisition as you had assumed, but I think my assumption would be that first of all, company A and B should be willing, obviously, to merge. I think that's the first thing, and you shouldn't. Not the only, but the most important thing is just being there as a company to also negotiate and making sure that you get a good deal for both company and A, and there's no compromise basically that is going to affect maybe one firm more than the other.
What would you say the framework would be? Obviously, you would have done it, but if you were in the position to say you want to acquire a position, and a company rather, sorry, what would you say is the most important thing? Like, I'm not a lawyer myself, but if I had to acquire, what would I look at? Like, looking at the company A and what would I look at that would be a successful, if it's worth buying, rather? What would I look at, or the risks that I would look at, or things that I would look at?
You really are picking my brains. So I think obviously I'd have to look at the value of the company that I want to acquire, because I don't think anyone would want to acquire a company that's not worth anything, firstly. So and secondly, how is the company doing? I'd also look at, the reputation. That's the risk that I should take into consideration. Reputational risk. Do I want to associate myself with a firm that has done 1, 2, and 3? Yeah, I think that's the most important thing that I would look at, and how is it going to contribute to me and what I want to do with the firm.
Would you not rather look at the financials of how the company is doing as the first thing?
I would. I would also look at the financials of the company. I think that is one of the most important things as well.
Okay. So now pivoting to another thing would be, I'm assuming you staying, up to date with what's happening in the market, and, can you tell me about the last thing that you read and why that was interesting to you?
About what's happening on the markets.
Yeah, particularly in practice, because obviously KK Attorneys is a commercial firm, right? So I'd assume you'd be reading around what's, in the space, what's happening in that space. What is the last thing that you read that's happening in that space?
I read that. So I'm also one person who I get emails on what is happening on the share price of this company and that company, because I also like to, invest, even though it's like 100 Rand, but, at least to know where my 100 Rand is going. So I read that I saw that SAB companies is going to be issuing their dividends on the 10th of October. And the investors should also just, look out for that. And I also read that Sibanye Stillwaters is also in talks to merge with SAP. So I also think that is going to affect their share price a bit, because they are issuing dividends on the 10th of October. And before the year ends, they are also trying to get into measuring transactions. So I think that is also going to affect their share price.
Okay, interesting. Going back to, you mentioned that you studied at UFS.
Yes.
Did you, be part of any associations within your stay there? And if you did, why did you find benefits in those, and what did you do in those associations? Were you just a member or an active member, or hold office?
So I stayed at RIS in my first year and second year. I stayed at RIS and I was part of the house committee. So unfortunately, you can't as a first year be like a house committee, so you'd have to be subcommittee. So I served subcommittee, and there's no chance to not be active there, because the people they are quite strict.
Yeah.
So you have to actually be active. So I was active in that, and I was subcommittee first years and mentorship. So I'd be involved in welcoming first years, and during, I think, around October, that's when you get a list of students that are already accepted into the residence. So I'd be involved in that, and also coordinating their arrival address. And in end of second year, I was chosen as the law faculty president for the North. So the residences are separated in Northeast and so I was the law faculty president for the North. So again, I can't be not active because I'm the president.
Yeah.
And then I was also part of Legal Behemoth. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. So we do moot courts.
Oh, moot court societies. Okay, I see.
Yes,
Is it like inter-varsity or is it just for your university?
So in a smaller scale, it is for university, but they also get to go overseas and also go to, compete with other universities. So I was also part of that. But unfortunately, I couldn't hold office because you should be a member for a certain number of years.
Yeah.
So I started joining as a subcommittee, and then COVID happened.
Ah,
Yeah.
lovely COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would assume that would be very time consuming. How would you manage your time during that time and still upholding good grades?
Good time management. I know it sounds cliche, like everyone says it, good time management, but I think you should know, you should set a certain time for your studies. And I feel like you should always remember that this is what I'm here for. So if there's anything I'm not going to compromise on, it has to be my studies because I need to get good grades and also make time. And I think it's also not only just about holding office, but also giving back to the students that come before you, making them aware of the things that are available on campus and what they can do and all of those things. So I think also having that drive in you that I have to wake up because this is my drive, this is what I'm contributing, is also what kept me going.
So I hear what you're saying, but practically, what does that look like? Let's say you wake up in the morning, you have your committee meeting that's happening during the day, you have a test, you have an assignment to submit, you have X, Y. Like, how do you practically manage that whole,
Okay, so I'm just going to make an example with when I was still in RES, right? So most of our meetings at RES, because they would also take into consideration that we are studying. So most of our meetings would happen at night. So you have your whole day to go to class, do your assignments. If you have exams, you write your exams. And then at night, then we will meet. And if you do have a commitment, you do tell them, guys, listen, I have a commitment of 1, 2, and 3. Maybe you're writing an exam the following day. So can I please be available for 30 minutes if maybe it's a 1-hour meeting and you guys can brief me after the meeting. Then in my spare time, then I can go through, what they were doing or discussing. Then I can contribute then to
Okay.
that.
Do you have any questions for me as we conclude the interview?
Yes, I do actually. I think I've told you about myself, but I also want to know what is the kind of candidates that KK Attorneys is actually looking for.
Yeah, good question. We actually don't look for a person. It's normally attributes that we look for. And part of the attributes is people that are willing to learn, people that, you would have seen, I asked you about, the practice that we're operating and are you reading up on. So that is very important because we're a client-centric space. So staying abrupt with what's happening, it's very important. We look at people that are open to learn, right? So you are smart, you did something to end up here. So you just have to prove to us that what we saw on the CV and versus the person that we see aligns. So yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell what we look for. But ultimately, everything you learn on the job, because your LLB degree covers the theory, but practice is different to what actually happens, to what you've been exposed to, rather. So, yeah.
Okay. And I think another question that I have, thank you for answering that, is, as I already mentioned earlier on, that I love the caliber of attorneys that you guys produce. I just want to know what kind of support do you guys give to your candidate attorneys that makes them thrive?
Yeah, good question. I mean, we have our own PLT in-house, which our firm, KK Attorneys, covers for. And then we have revision classes also in between that. Sorry, and then we have great support in terms of the team that we have. We have check-ins, regular checkups with the people. So there is great support in place to ensure that you succeed.
Okay, no, I think I appreciate that. I think that is what any candidate will be looking forward to know that I have support.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
for
you
the
so
interview.
much, Kiki.
Welcome. Welcome to KK Attorneys. We've been reviewing your profile and we're quite pleased, and that's why we basically invited you to the interview. Unfortunately, my colleague is sick, supposed to be a panel, but she's not here today, but I'm here. Maybe perhaps you could start off by introducing yourself after I've introduced myself. So my name is Kekileto Sivageng, and I am the graduate recruitment manager for KK Attorneys. I look after anything graduate recruitment related, end to end. So maybe perhaps you could introduce yourself, tell us about yourself a bit before we start going into the technical stuff.
Okay, thank you, KK, for the invite. I really do appreciate it. My name is Ntloso Maluana. I am a third-year law student from UNISA. I'm an ambitious person. I am very goal-orientated. I also believe in taking initiative simply because I believe if you don't go after something, it might not find you. Rather go after it. I'm also a social media content creator outside of professionals. In my free time, I enjoy watching a lot of movies. I also enjoy doing Latin ballroom dancing. In a nutshell, that's who I am.
Okay. And then where are you originally from? And why did you particularly choose UNISA? I would assume there were other institutions that you could have applied to, but why particularly apply at UNISA? Or did you have other plans to study part-time and then do other things? Or what was the thought process there?
So I'm originally from KZN, KwaZulu-Natal, Mtubatuba, but then I came to Pretoria when I was in, I think, grade 6. Yeah, then that's when I started just living in Gauteng. The reason I chose UNISA, well, it chose me, rather. So initially, I was very naive when I was in matric. I thought I was smart. So, and also everyone I knew was going to uni. So I only applied to one university, which was the University of Pretoria. And then unfortunately, I didn't get in. But then when I was in matric, my dad encouraged me to apply at UNISA. I was like, no, I'm going to go to UP, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, just apply. And then I did, but then I forgot about the application. So when I was rejected by the University of Pretoria, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then the offer letter came from UNISA to come study there. And then that's where I've been since.
Oh, okay. And since you mentioned that UP was your first option, were you intending to apply for law there also, or was it a different program?
No, it was LLB. It was LLB and BCom law. But my first choice was LLB.
Oh, and then why were you not, do you know, but is it because of space purposes or you didn't meet the minimum requirements?
I'm not sure. I think I did meet the minimum requirements because with their system, you can't apply if you don't meet the requirements.
Oh, I see.
So I think maybe it must have been space.
Yeah.
To be fair, I did apply quite late. Again, I really thought I was smart and I thought I had it in the bag, but I didn't apply early enough.
Why did you particularly choose law? You probably could have done travel and tourism, sports management, something nice to do, you know, that everybody does. But why particularly law?
So my decision to choosing law was very calculated in a way. Growing up initially, I didn't even know what I wanted to become. I wanted to become an actor because I liked that space as well. But then me becoming an actor, I was then signed to a modeling agency. I think I was 13 years old. And then upon signing that, I signed a contract alone. I was 13. My parents were not there. No one was there.
That sounds illegal.
So I signed the contract literally right there and there. They sold me this dream that I'm going to go to America. I'm gonna work for Versace. I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, let me do it. And then I signed the contract. Little did I know the contract had very, like, a lot of things that I didn't personally agree with. So after that, I was booked for my first campaign. and then I was due to get paid. So my parents are asking, when are you going to get paid? Just out of concern. So I then reached out to my manager and I was like, listen, where's the money? When am I going to get paid?
Yeah.
And it's like, didn't you read your contract? I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, he told me to go to a specific page, just set up the contract to this day, actually. And I went to that page, and then it's basically said that I needed to meet a 50,000 rand bracket. So I needed to make them 50,000 first before I started to
before you
get
can
paid.
get paid.
So I was like, what? That's ridiculous. And at that time as well, I was not getting a lot of money. So making that 50,000 was going to be like a lot of time. So then I didn't understand if this was legal, was this all right? I just didn't understand anything. So then me being young, I went on Google. I was like, is this legal? But then it wasn't giving me what I wanted.
Yeah.
And then that's when I basically started watching like a lot of series, Suits being one of them, which handled a lot of like contracts and stuff like that. And then that's where the interest started. So I would say that contract was the first spark. But initially, when I started watching these law shows, I became very much interested, and we're here today.
Okay, lovely. So at UNISA, you said what year are you in again?
I'm in third year.
Third year. Okay, and then what modules have you covered, and which ones are of interest?
So far, don't you list all the modules I've covered?
No, not all. I mean, the ones particularly of interest to you since you've been there for 3 years.
Okay. I think the first one has to be the one that I just did last semester, which is unjustified enrichment and estoppel. And then right now I'm currently doing law of delict. So those two are my current favorite.
Okay, and you know, Gig Attorneys is a commercial firm, right?
Yes.
So, what areas of interest would you say is for you at this particular firm?
I think with Gig Attorneys, I'm interested in your banking and finance department. I see that it's doing well, so and I want to get myself into a team that does well in that space.
Okay, and have you done contract law?
I'm actually doing it this semester as well. So I haven't, but I'm doing it this semester.
Okay, and then what have you read our recent deals that we've had, I guess, in that particular area that you expressed now that you love?
Yes, I have read some deals, and yeah, what a good job you guys are doing.
Okay, and have you seen the deal that we recently have of a merger with company A and B? And do you know the facts of that deal?
The facts of that deal. I don't know the
Actually,
full
let me rephrase this
Yes.
because it'll be a bit unfair to ask this question. So, what would you say is the most important thing when there's a merger involved? What would be the first things that you look at to ensure that it is a lucrative merger?
So if there's a merger involved, I think the first thing of importance I would look at is if the companies that are merging, first of all, are they both in good standing to merge together? So
What does good standing entail?
I mean financially.
Oh,
Because
financially.
I don't want
So you're referring to their financial statements? And,
Yes,
okay.
yes, because I think it would be bad if a company did were to be merged with another company. It would not look good. So I think that would be the first thing that I would look at if those two companies are in good standing and financially.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would be the potential risks that you would look at before merging with that other company? Though the potential risk you look for that they might potentially have.
The other company.
Yes, before you merge with them.
I haven't quite really thought of the risk. I don't know a lot about that, but I'm definitely going to do a lot more research about that.
But generally, what would you look at for risks?
I would look at I'll probably look at the directors if they don't have dual directorship with other companies, which might cause a conflict with the merger. Again, I would look at the financial statements of the company to see if it's in good standing. What else? I think those are the things so far that I would look at. But
Okay.
again, I will do more research on that. And
Yeah. So, I mean, our company is in the forefront of technology. We're using a lot of AI tools. What's your opinion on, candidates, attorneys using AI? Do you believe that they should use it to enhance, or do you believe that they should use it and outsource certain functionalities to it? So what's your take on it? Because I'm referring last week I read about a case pertaining, a candidate's attorney using AI, and that company now is in hot waters. So what's your take on that?
My take on AI, first of all, I think obviously we can't hide from it. It's there, and I think the best thing that a firm could do in terms of AI is definitely incorporate it in their work so that their candidate attorneys or the junior people in the firm do not misuse it or use it in a way that is secrecy. To minimize things like that. So having maybe like a department or training in terms of AI or very like high supervision on how they should use it. I don't think it should what can I say? It should not basically should not be ignored. It should be incorporated within their work, but with a lot of supervision, because whether we like it or not, they are going to use it. Rather use it with supervision than not use
So
it at all.
we have a software called Sparks. So Sparks is being used here. And if you had to work here, how would you use it? Let's say you have a matter and you have legal research. How would you use it to enhance your work? You mentioned earlier on something that we can't avoid, right? So how would you use it in that ethically so?
Okay, so if I have research to do and I have to consult AI, I think the first thing, for example, if I'm looking for a case that has to do with a merger, a high merger, I'd probably go on the AI and say cases that have to do with mergers. And then it will give me the case names and then go on LexisNexis, Juta, or anything like to verify if the cases are legit and read them. I think in that way it makes my job a bit quicker, but also I would verify the cases to make sure that these are legit cases and they have everything to do with the current thing that I'm researching.
Okay. And then what about other, when you're drafting something, obviously it has to sound a particular way. Would you use AI also for that, or do you think that you're gonna rely on your own self?
I think definitely I would use AI, but I think I would give it something to polish, not just say, write this for me. I would give it something to polish, and then in terms of grammar, in terms of style, and in that way, I would also learn how to draft in a better manner.
Okay. You mentioned at UNISA there, obviously it's distance learning. And so how often are you on campus, and are you involved with other associations on campus at UNISA?
Okay, so especially in the first semester, I was on campus 3 times a week because I used to stay in Pretoria because of my association that I'm with. Right now, I'm not really much in at campus because I've moved away from campus, but I still do come to campus as much as I can. I am involved with the UNISA Law Students Association. I am an executive member there, so I deal with a lot of like the media side of it. Yeah, but I used to come to campus a lot when I used to stay closer to campus. Now it's a bit different.
So is there other initiatives outside of events that you guys host? What type of events would you be involved in your office at UNISA? What sort of events would you be involved in?
So events like career fairs, hosting seminars where we bring law practitioners, especially UNISA UNISA graduates who have made it big to come inspire our students. We're holding a Heritage Day themed in law. We're also holding a law festival next week. So it's very much law related, just to encourage our law students that there is so much beyond just UNISA, because a lot of them do get discouraged. So hence why we try to bring UNISA graduates who've made it in these different spaces, so that they can also know that it's not just law. I mean, it's not just attorney or advocate. There's many other avenues that they can go into.
So are you the person who reaches out to the UNISA alumni? Like, do you interact with them directly?
Yes, I'm part of those. I'm part of them. We're the whole executive team. We do try. For example, if I know somebody, then I'm going to reach out to that person to come be with us for that certain event.
Okay. And then what would you say you do outside? If I didn't have your CV today, what would you say your interests are that keeps you sane? Because, I mean, there's a lot happening. I would assume you holding office in that association, and then you having, to study. And I presume at UNISA there's less hand holding, right? So there's you're preparing for assessments, and and you're preparing for your exams. Yeah.
So things that I do outside of school. First of all, I am a content creator. So I create content around the study of law and also around studying in general because I'm a student and many people find that very much relatable. So, but I also incorporate more of like my lifestyle. But the main portion is law and studying. I'm also actually a hair braider, so I braid people's hair for a living. That's how I make some of my money. Also, I'm also a math tutor for grade fives.
Okay.
That's what I also do outside of, well, it's not really outside of school, is it? But it's outside of law. And for fun, as I mentioned, I just like watching movies and I like being outside in nature as well.
Okay.
Those are things that I do if I'm not actually working.
So now, as a candidate attorney, I'm assuming you're familiar with the LPC requirements
Yeah.
around, what is it? They call it, there's a term for it, that you're not allowed to hold any office or make.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Do you know that clause?
I'm not sure which clause it is, but I'm familiar with the statement.
So what do you intend to do? Let's say potentially we offer you, what's going to happen there? Because now you're going to be forced to be, not doing those extracurricular activities that you're busy with that generates income.
I think going into this career, obviously, I knew what I signed up for. So if I do end up getting signed at your firm, I do know that I don't have to hold office and certain things. So I would have to give it up. It's things that I'm prepared to do because this is the long-term goal for me.
And then on social media, since it's a big thing now, I'm assuming you would be familiar with policies around it. And, our firm does have our own social media policy. And should you be, acquired here, you would know that, you represent the firm indirectly. So going forward, how would you do that now, knowing this information, going forward around your social media? And I'm assuming in this you do have a large following and so forth. So how would you navigate that while, in your journey of articles?
I think definitely because I think I'm very much unique because I'm already in the social media space. So I'm very much trained on what to post and what not to post. I think I'm definitely more trained than somebody who would not have a social media. So me having a social media, I don't see it as really a bad thing because I know how to conduct myself on social media. I'm not ashamed of what I post. I know what to comment. I know what not to comment. Me being on social media for this long, I've known how to conduct myself in a professional manner that not only represents me, but the larger people behind me. So I definitely know how to conduct myself on social media.
Okay. So lastly, parting gift question to you would be, what have you read? Just, business tech, News 24, that is in, the areas that we operate in, a deal that you would have seen, not limiting you to case law. Because every time I ask those questions, people refer to case law. But what would you say you read that was interesting to you?
I think I've actually been interested, as I mentioned, I'm very much interested in the banking and finance sector. So I've been reading a lot about the transition from JIBA to Zaronia, which are basically interest rates in South Africa that banks use to charge each other, to charge interest on each other. So basically South Africa is moving towards Zaronia, which is like a more trusted interest rate. It's based on real transactions, like overnight transactions, where JIBA is very much it's easily manipulated. It's not based on anything. It's just high. It's basically the banks coming up with interest from I don't know where, but it's not. It doesn't have background basically.
Yeah.
So South Africa is moving towards Zaronia because it's more trusted and just to keep up with the international standards.
Just picking your brain, what do you mean where the interest come from? Where does interest generally come from?
I think so. In terms, when I mean it, I don't know where it comes from. It's more like they don't have, for example, if you go to a bank that's using JIBA and be like, where did you get this? It's hypothetical. It's from the professionals. It's not with Zaronia. It's like you can actually see the transaction that happened that they base the interest rate on. So with them, it's not really like it doesn't have substance. It's just
Just explain it to a person who does not know law. Just on that you just said, I would assume that with the economy and legislation, all of those things come together and versus how then does the banks plug into all of the legislation plus the how does that cycle operate?
I'm not sure if I understand the question.
So, for instance, we have laws that govern everything, right?
Yes.
So, I'd assume the banks are governed by legislation also, right? So, then that's what I'm asking. So, when you're saying there's a system that's operating, wouldn't that system be governed by those regulations that they can't just come up with the platform that generates interest?
Well, there is, but again, it's based on again they're meeting for global financial standards. So with me saying maybe I worded it in the wrong way, it doesn't come from anywhere, but it does come from professionals like financial professionals.
Okay.
But what I mean is that the difference between Zarona and Jaiba is that Zarona is actually based on real transactions that you can see, and with Jaiba it's just professionals who sit together in a table and come up with the interest rate, which again it can be easily manipulated. If I was there, I could just say
I'm worried
let's
about
charge
the
them-
risks from that perspective. But anyways, but anyways, thank you so much. Do you have any questions in closing before?
Yes, I do have one question for your firm. I want to know, what does a good candidate attorney or a thriving candidate attorney look like in your firm?
I love this question. It's the most asked question.
We all want to be successful.
So I think there's no a particular blueprint to a perfect candidate attorney. There isn't such, but I mean we look for attributes, right? So people that are well read, people that are interested and that are passionate about what they do, people that are willing to receive also feedback when you fall short. In some cases, actually in the beginning stages, you might find a lot of red marks in your drafts. So it shouldn't, affect you negatively, but rather ask how you can improve yourself. So that feedback is very important if you're a person that's willing to receive that. And particularly with top achievers, you don't receive that a lot, right? So it's just training your mind to be in that space. And yeah, just someone who's just going to be a sponge and learn and grow and learn from other professionals. Because I mean, we hire at Gig Attorneys, we hire really great professionals. So there will be a lot of, collaboration amongst the people and the different teams. And you need to be able to plug into that. So yeah.
No, thank you. I'm really satisfied with that response. I'm looking forward for you guys to get back to me. Hopefully I get to join your firm soon.
Yeah, no, we have 2 weeks of interviewing, so we'll get back to you. We don't ghost here.
Thank you.
That was interesting.
Nerve-wracking.
Okay.
I think the feedback that was consistent, if you're going to speak about a subject matter, be sure that you know the subject matter, especially end to end, because in some cases, I'm not a technical person, but I've gotten to understand that the more you know about the subject matter, there will be probing questions. If you don't know the subject matter, you'll be caught out in the probing questions, because that's where the trap. So if I was a student, I would mention something I've read and I know and I understand, because then best believe you me, they're going to ask you probing questions. And be confident in your background. I think both of you guys went straight shooting into like, oh, I'm doing this. Like, speak about your upbringing. How did that journey, build you to the person that you are? And yeah, reading up a lot is very important. Just knowing the spaces that you want to operate in. I think your answers were a bit shaky there when I was probing you.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, no, they're bringing up race. Yeah. Right. So like, and then similarly to you also, there was a technical thing that I asked you and you were just like meandering around the question, right? So it's like, if you're going to speak about a technical thing, best believe speak of the framework. And even if you don't know, let's say, but you can speak about the framework, right? Like the merger thing, like financials. No one wants to buy a dying company. That's the first thing that I would think about. I'm not even a technical person, but I'll think about the risks of buying that thing. You mentioned the target market. I can't remember, it was between the two of you guys, but understanding the conflict of like, okay, if you're acquiring that, there's things like conflict checks that people check, like, okay, if you're buying a mine, is it licensed, or you know what I mean? Like just knowing the framework of what you're talking about. about. I think that's very important. And being confident in your answers. Because sometimes when I start asking, I can see, oh, there's a crack. I'm going to start throwing more follow-up questions, right? So
Yeah.
just being confident in your answers. But
And if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's actually easier to say, I actually don't know. Because then it just ends there. Whereas if you like act like you know, like what he's saying, then they probe. And then you get caught out, and then it's actually more embarrassing, I think, than just saying, I don't know.
I mean, in some instances, you can say, I don't know, but then you can say, but this is what I've been exposed to. Then that directs the question differently to what you know.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, saying I don't know at all, like, it also sometimes
it's not a good,
or you say I don't know too many times, then it's not a good look.
Yeah. And then also what I wanted to say, because I took notes, like Knox, you were answering about the time management. I think he tried to get it out of you.
Yeah.
That you must give examples. It's very good to, it's all good and well to say, yeah, I'm good at time management, but what they're looking for is examples of how you've actually done it, right? So I always say, answer the question with an example so that it's more practical, and then they say, okay, actually, you've actually done it. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually probed and then I actually forgot about that. I was actually trying to guide you to the answer.
Yes.
But you were not giving practicals. Like you could say, I have a diary, I diarize this and I do this, that, you know. So I think that's a practical way of looking at things.
But Gig, I have a question. How do you then, like, because sometimes it feels like someone is looking for a specific answer, and maybe I'm someone who just like, I just plan in my head. That's this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I'm gonna do. And maybe a recruiter is looking for, I diarize and I don't.
No, it's not a specific answer per se, but then you are walking me through. If you are saying
your process,
I don't write, then that cues in my mind, okay, this person doesn't write, right? So I won't ask, if you don't write, that means everything is happening in your mind. Then my follow-up question would be, in a law firm, when you're having multiple matters, you have board exams to do, how would you manage that practically? Then I'm going to pick your brain, how are you going to do that? So there's never a specific answer, technically.
Yeah.
It's what you give. What you give is what we're going to probe on. We never probe on any, unless I already have looked at your profile and I'm like, there's a gap here. What was going on? Like obvious things that will pop out that will make me ask you in the interview. But in most cases, you give us the information that we probe on.
Yeah.
So basically, don't open a can of worms that you can explain.
No, you have to be free in order for it to be organic, right? So in most cases, I would say it's better to be your organic self. Like your authentic, not organic. Hey, it's called authentic self. Because that's better. Because then I can connect with you and understand what you stand for and stuff like that. But then if you put up a facade, which most people try to do that, like, you ask them about the interest. So I read. Okay, cool. What is the last book you read?
You see that one?
You'll mention a book that you haven't even read.
Yeah.
Then what if I read that book?
And then you ask about it, and then you realize.
Then I ask you about the book because I know I read the book. Now I'm asking you, so you read Atomic Habits. I'm actually halfway. Actually, what do you think? Now
Chapter 3.
problem.
Yeah.
Because now you see.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes you guys trap yourselves in what you're giving. And I'd rather speak about something confidently.
Yeah.
Or bring it up if I'm confident about it.
Yeah.
Noted.
Last parting shot? My last parting shot is that question that you guys always ask. What are you guys looking for in a candidate attorney? Guys, change it. Change the question.
I want to know.
That is the most asked question.
To be fair, that's what we want to know because we want to thrive in the position.
No, but listen, I understand the intention of the question.
Yeah.
But you won't get that answer that you actually, there's no, and that's the genuine answer. There's no perfect, we have people from UNISA, UFS, different places. So, if we wanted a specific person, we're going to hire from one specific place. And I know there's some firms that do that, but, we don't do that. If you're looking for, a diverse group of people, you're going to go to different places. And what you should actually focus on is, how would I thrive in this space, having achieved X, Y, Z now? Is it sufficient enough for me to thrive in this space? Or what can I upskill? I think that's a better question.
Yeah.
You know,
agree.
having senior candidate attorneys now, what have they lacked? Much better question.
Are you gonna tell us though?
You would, depending on, like, if it's a technical thing, you will say, hey, maybe, you know, their drafting is not that well. What's happening there at that curriculum at that university? What are you guys actually exposed to? Then that gives us an insight, you know, in our induction program, what to put on to close that gap.
Okay.
Well, time is up.
Hey, it's been BP.
That was good. I enjoyed this. I really, really enjoyed it. I hope we can do this again. I don't know how, but I hope we can do this again. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time. Keke, Ndloso, Knox, thanks for volunteering to do this session. I think it's helpful. I think people will learn something from this. And I'm always trying to find different ways of doing this YouTube thing because everyone's doing the same thing now.
Yeah, everyone is climbing up.
So yeah, thanks guys for watching. See you on the 10th of October. Cheers.